Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Rabil. I am a thread artist. I work with crochet and embroidery. This video is based on basic embroidery stitches. Embroidery 101 is going to start from here. These are some very simple, very basic stitches that every beginner can learn, and you can modify them in your projects. We'll learn how later. Today we're going to start with backstitch. So you're going to thread your needle, and on the longer tail of your thread you're going to make a knot. Insert your needle from the back side of your fabric, pull it through nice and tight, and then insert back, leaving a stitch on the fabric. Length of stitch can vary depending on your project. If you are making a straight line, let's say 0.5 centimeter length will be fine. Once the thread is on the top of the fabric, now you're going to insert it back. Make sure it goes back immediately after where the first stitch ended, so there are no blank spaces in between. Now once again we leave one stitch space, take our thread to the front, and then insert it back immediately after our previous stitch ended. We're going to repeat this process, and we're going to try and keep our stitch length constant, and we're going to try and make sure that there are no spaces in between. Once you take your needle to the back, pull the thread a little bit, just enough to maintain the strength of the stitch so that your stitches are not very loose. We're going to complete this line just like so, and at the end of the stitch you can make a knot at the back. Backstitch can be used in various projects. I'll show you how. Now whipped backstitch is very similar to backstitch. All you need to do is make a straight line with backstitch and then whip it. What you're going to do is you're going to insert your needle from right to left beneath your stitch once again, and then repeat the process until you reach the end. We just insert your needle from one end, take it out from the other end, and pull it all the way through. We are not inserting our needle in the fabric for this stitch. We already made one straight line using backstitch, and now we're going to just whip the stitch by just rotating our thread around the previously made stitches. This is a very good stitch if you want to do outlines and if you want to do lettering. It doesn't leave any white spaces in between. And now we're going to start with the split stitch. This is again a modification of backstitch. You can use each one of these stitches in each other's places. These are interchangeable. It depends on your preference. My favorite one is backstitch. I use it as it is, but you can use either of these according to what you like to do. We're going to make one stitch similarly like we did in the backstitch. Length of the stitch can vary according to the project. Preferably it should not be longer than 0.5 centimeter. And then we're going to now insert our needle in the middle of the previous stitch. So it is like you do backstitch, but instead of inserting your needle at the place where your previous stitch ended, we are going to insert our needle in the middle of the previous stitch. So basically our stitches will overlap in this case. This again is a very versatile stitch. The length of stitch can vary according to the project or how you like to work. If you want to keep it like little tighter, make smaller stitches. If you want to make it little loose, you can increase the length of your stitches. As you can see that as we go stitch by stitch, each stitch is giving a slightly different outlook. They're very similar in how you make them, but the outlook slightly varies. Now we're going to do stem stitch. Stem stitch goes from top to bottom basically. I use it for obviously making stems when I'm making some floral hoops, or if I have to do an outline of a circle. This really helps. We're going to make one stitch, but we're not going to pull all the way through. and then we're going to insert our needle in the middle of the stitch, and once our needle is again on the top of our fabric, we're then going to pull all the way through. So you insert your needle in, do not pull all the way through, insert your needle in the center of the stitch and then pull all the way through. This stitch gives a little, it doesn't give a straight line, little wobbly effect is seen in this stitch, but again it's very nice if you want to make stems, or if you want to make grass, if you're making like a floral hoop, it looks really pretty on that. Some borders are made very nicely with this stitch. There are multiple uses of each stitch. So we're just going to insert our needle leaving one stitch gap, and then we're going to insert a needle back up in the middle of the stitch, and then we're going to pull all the way through. If you learn back stitch basically, then you can learn all of these stitches very easily. These are very basic beginner friendly stitches that can be modified in every hoop that you eventually will be working on. You can design your patterns accordingly. You can learn to do lettering. You can do so much if you know these very simple, very basic stitches. And that's how the final thing looks. Now you can see the difference between all four stitches. These are all used to make outlines, but they look very different. Now we're going to work with fishbone stitch. This is a very common stitch if you're making leaves, especially if you're working with floral embroidery. Sometimes you can also use this stitch to, if you're doing like a scenery and then you want to fill in some spaces, this is a very nice stitch to do that. You just need to take your thread out from one end and insert on the absolute opposite end, making like a leaf, like a structure. And then repeat the same process from the other side. You take your thread out and then you insert it back in. I usually start my stitch from almost the like topper half of the leaf, but closer to the middle, and then it gives a very nice and even look. You have to repeat the process until you reach the end. Make sure that your stitches are not overlapping when you're inserting your needle in, and there's not a lot of white space in between. So the next stitch that you take out must be very close to the previous stitch. So if there are any white spaces, you fill them in. Then again, you repeat from the other side and you alternate between both sides. If you've started from the right side, you do right side first and then left and then right again, and you alternate like that to give like a crisscross effect in the center of the leaf. This is a preferred leaf pattern for most embroidery artists. I'll be sharing a couple of more leaf designs in my coming up YouTube videos, but this is a very, very basic stitch that everybody can do and learn very easily. As you can see, it's forming a fish bone like a structure in the center, and once the leaf is completed, you can see how it goes. Every time you bring your needle up from the top and then insert back in from at the bottom of the leaf. That's how it goes until you are completely done with the whatever size of the leaf you're using. That will be fine. It works on all sizes. Finished leaf, just one small stitch to end it, and you can see it gives a very nice leaf like structure to your project, and there's a very, very cute fishbone effect in the center. Okay, so this is how it looks, And now we're going to start with Lazy Daisy. This is one of my favorite stitches if I'm making small flowers, or if I want to just add like a flower buds to my floral embroidery, fill in spaces. It works all the way. You can modify it and add like a small stitch in the center to make a bigger flower or a smaller flower. It's very easy and very simple to do. What you're going to do is very easily, you're going to bring your needle to the front and then insert it back in. Try to hold the thread while you're working so it doesn't get in the way. Insert it back in very close to the point you've taken it out, and then bring your needle to the front again, just leaving one stitch space, and then make sure your needle passes through the loop of the thread that you've formed, and then insert it back in like this to form like a petal like structure. Again, you bring your needle to the front and then insert it back in, like you hold the thread, and then you bring your needle to the front, but make sure it passes through the loop that you've made, and then around the loop you insert the needle back in. This forms very cute little petals of a leaf. You can make as many as you want. It determines on the, depends on the size of whatever the flower you're making. And if you can also use these to make small leaves like around a vine if you're working on a floral project, and or to just to add a little detail around your whatever sceneries that you're making, or your floral embroidery, and these stitches can add little depth to your work. These are probably one of the easiest ways to make a flower. You just put a French knot in the middle and it looks like a perfect daisy flower. Like this. Now this is the last one. You bring your needle to the front again, and around the loop you're going to now insert it back. Very important thing is that when you pull the thread, do not pull it as very hardly so that the flower gets distorted. Just like that. Now you put one French knot in the middle and you make a flower. Just the tension is important. You should not pull the thread very strongly so that the flower gets a little distorted. That's how it looks. Now we're going to move on to our next stitch, which is going to be a French knot. French knots are, again, they can be used in multiple ways. Mostly I use them in the center of my flowers, be it sunflower, be it like a rose or a lazy daisy. Just they're very beautiful to put in the center of flowers, or to make stars, and just add a little dots or sprinkle around your project. They look very lovely. You're going to bring your needle to the front and you're going to pull it nice and tight. Then you're going to wrap the thread around your needle a couple of times. The number of rounds you do around the needle will determine the thickness of your knot. And then you insert it back in and you pull your needle all the way through. I usually do 2 turns or 3 turns depending on the thickness I want. Or 1 turn for a very small French knot. Now you can see this is 1 turn, then number of turns I did are varying, and so is their size. I usually just do 2 turns. After doing 2 turns, hold the thread from one hand and pull it down through from the other hand to make a nice and tight French knot. So you wrap the thread around 2 times, pull it from one finger, and then pull it all the way through. The needle should go all the way through, and that's how you make your French knot. Now, satin stitch is probably one of the most used stitches in embroidery. It's used for every single thing, be it flowers, be it if you're doing portraits, if you're doing landscapes, if you're just doing abstract, whatever your project is, satin stitch is used in every single project. It's the most commonly used stitch. It's very simple, very easy. You just insert your needle from one end of your drawing, and then you insert it back from the other end at the other end. It's basically just coloring with your thread. So once your stitch is straight, one thing you need to make sure is that the tension on each stitch must be equal. You put your insert your needle from back side to front of the fabric, and then you insert it back in from at the other end of your drawing, and you pull it all the way through. And make sure your stitches are straight. The tension on them is equal. You're not pulling very tightly, and you're not like the thread is not very loose. And these are all a couple of important points while you're working with satin stitches. Satin stitches can overlap, that's not a problem, depending on the project. For example, if you're making a flower, they'll most definitely overlap. But if you're trying to work with landscapes or portraits, try not to overlap them, because then it gives like a clumsy look. But otherwise, it's very easy, it's very forgiving. You can overlap, you can leave spaces and fill them again later. So if you're an absolute beginner and if you want to do something like if you want to make an embroidery project, this is your stitch. It's very easy, very basic, and you can mess with it a little bit and then fix it later as well. It doesn't matter as much as other stitches do. You can modify it later. You can correct your mistakes. If you've skipped a space in between, skipped a stitch, you can fill in later. You can also alternate with colors. For example, if you want to add like a little splash of another color, you can do that, and make a little like lines and effect of that sort. That's how you complete your satin stitch. This is the last stitch we're going to do today. It is called woven wheel stitch. So basically you're doing weaving but in a circular motion. You need to make like a star shape on your fabric. I usually draw my circles so I know where to draw these small stitches for me to begin with weaving. Just try to have equal spaces between each stitch. You just make 5 stitches with same, starting from same point and emerging like a star, like shown in the video. And then you once these stitches are done, you bring your needle to the front, preferably as close to the center as you can. And then now we're going to weave through. So if I've brought my thread, if I've passed my thread beneath the first stitch, I'm going to pass it over the next one and then under the next stitch. So this is how you basically weave through. And then I alternate between stitches. One will go under and the other will go above. I'm not poking my needle through the fabric. I'm not inserting through the fabric. I'm working only around the stitches I made earlier on the fabric. So my needle doesn't pass through. You don't have to pull very tightly on this one. It will ruin the shape. Just pull just as much so that the thread doesn't look very clumsy. And make sure you just alternate between every stitch. So if you're going under one stitch, go above the other stitch like so, and then again under the other stitch and then above the next stitch. You complete your wheel like this, just alternating between every stitch. And you can use like 2 to 3 threads on on your needle, like I'm using 2 threads currently to give it more volume. If you want a flatter wheel, you can use single thread or like a thinner thread, or if you want a little volume, you can use multiple threads, sometimes two, sometimes if you want like a more 3D effect, you can also add another layer of thread, and it will give like a 3D popping up effect of the rose. And this is again very simple and basic stitch. You just need to make sure that you do not pass your needle through the existing stitches. Like, you should not pull the thread out, or do not disturb the ring that you've already made, the wheel that you're working with. That's the only crucial thing about this stitch. If you somehow if your needle somehow passes through the rose that's like you're making, it will distort it, and then you might have to start over. Because if you pull very tightly, the rose will lose its shape, and the stitches will go all wrong, and you'll have to fix it later. And by fixing, I generally mean like you'll have to do it again. Just make sure you do not pull very tightly on this one. Insert your needle back in, and that's how a very pretty little rose looks. Now, sometimes to hide the initial star stitches we did, we make a couple of random stitches around the flower to give it a more rounder look, but that's absolutely optional. That's all for today. This is how this very cute rose looks. These are very basic, a couple of stitches that you can use in your projects.